So, a big welcome to all our viewers on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom who are joining us today. Thank you so much once again for joining us, and we are very excited. So, let me introduce the amazing and wonderful speaker for today. So, today's speaker is Sarah Huskie. Sarah is joining us all the way from UK. I am very, very excited to be hosting Sarah today. Sarah is a health coach. She is also from a very different background. She comes from an acoustic background. So, not only is she an engineer by profession, but she is also a health coach. Sarah follows healthy lifestyle and she also trains various people about health and fitness. So today's session is going to be about the important pillars of health, and Sarah is going to take us through this session. So my name is Tulika and I grand welcome all of you for joining today's session. And today is our 110th episode of Empowerment Talks. So thank you so much once again for joining in. And now I'm going to hand over the stage to our very, very dear and the very amazing speaker who's joining us all the way from UK. Sarah, the stage is all yours. Please go ahead. And I'm looking forward to your session today. I am unmuting you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Really, really excited to be joining you here today and doing this talk on the 4 pillars of health, a subject that is incredibly close to my heart, something that I feel very passionate about. So really excited to be here and to be talking to you. I'm just going to run through a presentation. I just have a few very simple slides that I'm going to run through, maybe talk for sort of 15, 20 minutes. And then we can go through any questions that anybody might have, anything that you want to talk about in a little bit more detail, and share some information about me. So just bear with me 1 second while I share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that there now.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so as Tulika said, my name is Sarah Huskie. I have a company called Healthy Balanced Me. I'm a women's gut health coach. So what that means is I really work with women, helping them to heal their gut and in turn heal their skin issues, their weight problems, their stress levels, their sleep issues, and really working with them from the central area of the gut and how that affects all the different areas of our overall health and wellness. So we're taking a really quite a holistic approach to health. Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say as well that the packages that I offer are completely tailored and unique. I work individually with clients on a one-to-one basis. I offer the support and guidance and accountability and help them really find their own way to their own healthy balance. And this is a great quote. I always like to start my presentations off with this quote. It really sums up how I look at health and wellness, really, that nobody is perfect. Not one person on earth has a perfect diet or a perfect fitness regime or sleeps perfectly. We all have to find our own way of balance. And this is a really, really nice quote from Gigi Hadid. Eat clean, stay fit, and have a burger to stay sane. So really finding what works for you and doing that most of the time, but having some fun along the way. You know, it would be very, very boring if we all led this completely perfect life where we didn't do anything that gave us joy, which is incredibly important. So the 4 pillars of health that I'd like to talk about today are rest, food, movement, and sleep. And they are all equally important when it comes to our wellness. And as I go through the slides and talk through it in a little bit more detail, you'll be able to see how they all tie together and why it's so important that we focus on all 4 of these different elements. And I think one of the first things to get across really is it's completely individual. You know, with billions of us on the planet, and we are not the same as each other. There are no 2 people on this earth who are the same, which means that we exercise in different ways, we eat in different ways, we have different diets and nutrition plans. And even when you look at the different parts of the world, you know, there's centenarians in pockets around the world. There's people who live the the most number of people live to being over 100. But even those diets aren't the same in each of those different pockets around the world. So it really is very individual and region specific, and making sure that you focus on yourself and your own body. And I really like this quote as well: you cannot out diet or out exercise too much stress or too little sleep. So maybe you have an incredible diet, you're eating lots of kale and vegetables, very plant-based, you know, a really, really good diet. You get lots of exercise every single day, but your day job is incredibly stressful. You spend most of your life feeling quite stressed and quite anxious, or you're not getting enough sleep. All of those things interact with each other, and if you haven't got some balance across all four of those, then you won't be achieving the health and wellness that you're hoping to achieve, what you're looking for, that balance for you. So the first one that I'd like to talk about here is rest. And I think quite often in terms of health and the four pillars, this is probably the most overlooked of the pillars. We lead incredibly busy lives these days. The vast majority of people, from the moment that they wake up in the morning, lots of people are picking up their phones, they're looking at emails and WhatsApp messages and looking at their social media, and all these micro stresses are coming at us from lots and lots of different angles. And very few people take enough time to rest. So we're not talking about sleep here, we're specifically talking about rest. So I'm going to do something with you. I can't see you, so this is a bit strange for me, so please do bear with me. But I'd like everybody who's listening to this call really just to close your eyes. Take a second just to close your eyes. And then roll your shoulders back, physically roll your shoulders back and let them fall down. And then take a really nice, big, deep breath in through your mouth. And let it out through your nose. And now smile. Okay, you can open your eyes again now. How did that feel? I think for the vast majority of people, everybody I speak to, that feels so good. And it really was just 30 seconds of rest. And in its very simplest form, that's what we're looking at when we're looking at mindfulness and meditation. Really just taking the time to give your body the opportunity to rest, to do absolutely nothing. And you really cannot underestimate the healing power of taking a few deep breaths. I think if there's any mums or parents out there, I know lots of people, we pull up on our driveways when we come home sometimes, sit in our cars and take a few deep breaths. Because it feels good, because it sets ourselves up for the day and what's coming ahead of us when we walk through the door with young children. So really, really important for everybody to take some time to rest. And this is one of the first things I work on with my clients and spend some time looking at. So it's not all about the food that you eat and the exercise that you're getting. We take a really holistic look at your whole circle of life and how that fits together. And rest is a really important part of that. And for some people, that means that they develop maybe a meditation or a mindfulness practice in the morning. And I know for a lot of people, we find it very difficult. I'm a very busy person. I find it very hard to get my mind just to rest and not think of a million things at once. But you can start very simply, just with a couple of minutes of rest, a couple of minutes of deep breathing, and build up from there. But it's a really, really great, healthy habit to get into and to build into your day. So maybe that's first thing in the morning, maybe it's towards the end of the day when you go to sleep. But really definitely something worth considering and building in. And it's something I work with my clients on to find what works for them, when's the best time for them to fit that into their day. The next one, and probably the one that most people think of when it comes to health and wellness, is nutrition. And I think the most important thing to get across to everybody here, again, is that we are all completely different. We all eat differently. We all react differently to different kinds of foods. There's a huge number of people who are intolerant to various different foods, but then other people, their friends and family members, can eat those foods with absolutely no problem at all. We also have different tastes. So just looking at the screen here for the food, I like most of the foods on the screen there, I love most of the foods, but watermelon for me is something that I cannot stand. But other people absolutely love watermelon, find it really sweet, really refreshing, tastes amazing. So I think it's really important to be very aware of the fact that we are all so completely different. And where this comes into health coaching, I think a lot of us are sold into diet plans and nutrition plans. For example, eat this way and you'll lose 10 pounds. Follow this plan for the next 2 weeks and you can lose 2 stone. That plan might work for one person. And for example, your friend might follow a nutrition plan and they might lose 7 pounds and they say they're feeling amazing, their skin is clear, they're sleeping fantastic, they feel great. You try the same nutrition plan and you feel tired and lethargic, maybe you're hungry all the time, maybe you're feeling bloated or gassy. So it really is important to try and work out what the right way of eating is for you. And I spend a lot of time working with my clients, helping them to listen to their bodies and listen to those cues. And if they're feeling uncomfortable, if they're feeling bloaty or gassy or their mind is foggy, look back on what you've eaten over the last few days and how that might have affected the way that you're feeling today. So we keep diary plans, we look at what a good healthy plate might look like. But one thing is certain for absolutely everybody: when we eat right and we eat well, we will feel great and we will have lots of energy for exercising and we will sleep better and it will help us manage stress as well. So a real holistic tie-up between the 4 pillars here, and food is very much at the center of that, making sure that you are eating well. I think everybody knows if we eat too much fried food, too much processed food, that really can leave us feeling not so great. So really important to listen to our bodies and concentrate on how we feel and how we react to different foods. But you know what, sometimes if you fancy a glass of wine or you fancy a slice of cake or you're really, really craving a pie, no problem at all. But most of the time to focus on giving our body what it actually needs, what it really needs to be powered and work most effectively. So the next pillar here is movement. And again, as I've said with rest and with nutrition, movement is something completely individual. So some of the exercises I love to do are yoga. I love kickboxing. I find it really, really pleasurable hitting things and getting some of my stress out, and really get the endorphins flowing when I'm doing kickboxing. And I really enjoy running as well. But I'm very much a 5K runner. I'm quite happy to get to 5K and then that's me, finished, I'm bored. I'm at my limit and quite happy. Whereas my brother, for example, will happily run marathons. He's run marathons all over the UK. He'll go for a run on a Sunday morning and run 15 miles and think absolutely nothing of it. So really, for movement as well, just be aware of what makes you feel good. Stop forcing yourself to do things because somebody's told you it's a good thing to do, or you'll lose weight if you do this, or this worked for me and it'll work for you as well. We're all completely different, and if you're trying to force yourself to do an exercise that you don't enjoy, you won't enjoy it. You won't want to do it. You're not going to put full effort into it because you're not getting any pleasure from it. And quite often we don't see the results that we were hoping for either, because you're putting your body under stress. And that stress is then causing inflammation in your body, inflammation in your gut, and then your body will react. So really important to find something that works for you. And I always advise my clients just to try everything. Try all the different classes, try doing different activities, try going for a run, try going for a walk every day. Really find out what works for you. But it really is essential to get exercise. And because I focus on women, I'm going to give a statistic for women here, but generally over the age of 35, our muscle mass decreases as the years go ahead. And that's quite young at 35. So if we're not getting exercise and we're not building our muscles, then we will become weak as we get older. And if our bodies are becoming weak weaker as we get older, then we will struggle to go for those walks and to get out of bed in the mornings. And we will suffer with things like bad backs and neck problems because our muscles aren't strong enough, because we haven't taken the time to get some exercise. And it's not necessarily that we all need to be hitting the gym and getting a six pack. For the vast majority of us, that's very, very unrealistic. But we do need to do something every day. So maybe if you're at the very start of your fitness journey, for example, maybe walking your 10,000 steps a day is a really, really good place to start. Maybe you start at 5,000 steps a day and work your way up. So really listening to your body, figuring out what works for you, what feels good for you, what do you enjoy, what makes you happy. And if you find those things, then it will come naturally and come very easily as well. And then the final one, sleep. I think there's a lot of research at the moment and a lot of different statistics talking around the fact that there's a real sleeplessness epidemic. People are generally not getting enough sleep at all, not by a very long stretch. And it's really recommended that every adult gets 7 to 9 hours sleep a night. So 7 hours is an absolute minimum, and 9 hours, not as a maximum, but 9 hours is where we should be sort of heading towards. And again, very different for lots of different people. Personally, I would be quite happy with 9 hours of sleep every night. That would make me feel good. That's when I wake up feeling really refreshed and ready to start the day and relax. Other people, maybe that's closer to 7. Maybe that's where they fit. So really focusing on yourself and how you feel when you wake up in the mornings. But it's really important to give yourself that window of opportunity to sleep. And I think that's really where, as a general population, we fall down, that we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to sleep. We sit watching TV, watching Netflix, we sit on our phones until late into the evening. No judgment here, I watch TV, I watch Netflix, I'm on my phone regularly as well. But I think it's just being more conscious and more aware of your habits. So for example, we don't keep our phones in the bedroom at night at all, because it's quite tempting if your phone is in the bedroom to pick it up and just to check a message, or maybe it's pinged or you've seen the light come on and you've seen that message. And the blue light that's emitted from our phones and TVs and devices is keeping us awake. It's preventing the production of melatonin and stopping us fall asleep so easily. So we really need to switch those devices off a good hour before we go to sleep at night. So maybe a different and a good habit to get into in terms of sleep is going to bed and reading a book, or maybe doing some yoga and some stretches before bed, or maybe practicing some mindfulness at that time of the evening. And really just giving yourself and your body a chance to relax and unwind and get ready for sleep. So really, really essential there. And if we're not getting enough sleep, we're really putting a lot of stress on our bodies, which we can prevent by getting into some more healthy habits. So one of the things I work with very closely with my clients is figuring out why they're not getting enough sleep. And it's really fascinating with coaching that when people start to talk through things, they think they know the answer. You think you know why you're not getting enough sleep. But these are all just thoughts that whiz around in your head. When you sit and talk to somebody and go through them in detail, and somebody is asking you very pointed and open questions and getting you to discuss exactly why you're not getting enough sleep, it makes you think more clearly. And as the words start coming out of your mouth, people go, oh, but actually, no, I don't do that. Or, yeah, I really wanted to do that, and I started this habit and then it stopped. So it really gives you the opportunity to think it through and talk it through. But yeah, absolutely essential that we get enough sleep so that we can function during the day. And one of the other things around sleep is if we don't get enough sleep, I think many people have probably been in the same position. We make poor food choices the following day. We're tired. We just need some instant energy. And that's when we start reaching for the junk food and the processed food. We don't have the energy to cook something and prepare a meal. So we reach for something quick and easy that will give us that instant high, the sugar and the salt and the fat that will pick us up. But then later on in the day, we're going to crash because we're still really tired and our blood sugar levels have dropped because we haven't eaten healthy and nutritious foods. And also then we're not going to get some exercise. So we're really tired. We've eaten the wrong foods. We haven't got any energy. We don't want to do that exercise. So really looking at those 4 pillars and how they circle around and interact with each other is really essential, and focusing on yourself and how you react in terms of each of those 4 pillars. Okay, so that's me, that's the presentation really. I just wanted to end here. This is a screenshot from my Instagram. So if anybody would like to talk through any of these, the pillars in more detail, and anybody is interested in coaching, please do get in touch with me. I'm at Sarah_Huskie on Instagram. So thank you very much, Tulika. Hope that was okay. I'll open the floor to any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Of course, it is amazing. It is an enriching session. There were a lot of takeaways. As you said, when we listen to all of this, we are like, yeah, I know about it. Yes, I know. But when it comes to actually implementing it, it's very difficult. And of course, it's always good to have an accountability partner or someone or health coach to help you guide you through it. So I'm quickly going to drop it in the chat box, a couple of your links so that people can follow you, your LinkedIn as well as your Instagram. So if anyone has any questions, they can also keep it ready. So before we jump on to the audience, I have one question to ask you. And firstly, I want to thank you for the 4 pillars. They were really interesting. And I really was learning and listening through everything that you were saying. So one quick question, not related to your what you spoke about, but something else. I'm interested, how did you enter into the coaching of health and fitness? I believe you're into acoustics, which is about related to sound, correct me if I'm wrong. And from being an engineer to getting into this profession, how was it like? And why did you decide to go to become a health coach? So if you could tell me about that, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess maybe you could call it a midlife crisis. I think when I was younger, I was always very interested in psychology and how people think. And it was always something I was very interested in, but I was also quite good at maths and sciences when I was at school as well. And I ended up getting into acoustics as a career and getting into engineering. And I think as I've got older, I've always focused on my health. I've always tried to stay healthy and fit as well. And I have 2 young children. So I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. And my 7-year-old, when he was about 3, was having major stomach problems. And he was regularly being sent home from school and from nursery with gas and cramps, crying in pain on a regular basis and really struggling to go to the toilet. Sorry to share. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the cause of that was. And we went to see a lot of doctors who would prescribe him with medications to help him go to the toilet. So something to help clear him through, as it were. But what I became really interested in is actually why he was having these problems in the first place. And that's something I really struggled to get an answer to. So we saw a specialist, very long story short, eventually got the answers as to why, and he has a gluten and dairy allergy, which is something that we hadn't realized. And we tried to remove gluten, we tried to remove dairy, but we'd never actually tried to remove both. And changing his diet has had an incredible impact on him as a child, his mental health as well as his physical health has had a huge impact on him. So it really re-sparked the interest in me and made me want to find out more. So I started doing the qualification and studying to become a health coach, which I completed a year ago now. So alongside doing my acoustics professional work, I started doing the health coaching, and I found a real passion in helping women find what works for them and how to help them find a balance. Because I think, as you say, it's not rocket science. We all know the different things that we should be doing, but I think we're bombarded with so much information about you should be doing this, you should eat this, this is the magic superfood, you should exercise like this. There's so much of it thrown at us. It's very difficult to find our own path, our own journey, and what's going to work for us. And that's something I love doing. I really enjoy working with women and helping them to find that for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just gets me to another question. What do you think about the keto diet or the crash diets that are really in trend these days? Or if you say about going vegan, right? People recommend going vegan if you want to reduce weight. Or people also say that, go keto, you can just go keto and you can eliminate anything wheat and it'll definitely help. So what do you think about that? What is your opinion?
I think, I'm afraid there's no simple answer. And I think people get frustrated. I think people would like a simple answer. But it's very different for absolutely everybody. Some people absolutely thrive on a vegan diet. They're quite happy. They feel good. They've got tons of energy. They feel, it really works and it really suits them and it feels good. Other people feel terrible and really miss the meat.
Right.
So I think what's something that I'm a huge advocate of is finding what works for you. So ignore what everybody else is doing, forget what they're doing, and really focus on how you feel. And some of the healthiest people that we read about and we hear about, they all have different diets, and everybody's trying to say you should do this or you should follow this path. It really is to focus on yourself and listen to your own body, because I think intuitively we all know. When I speak to people, they say to me, yeah, when I eat that, it really doesn't feel very good. I do get gas and bloating when I drink milk, actually. And I've always known that, but milk's good for you, isn't it? So I think, it's that real difficulty between listening to your body and then what everybody else is telling you should do. So for me, it's really important to figure out what works for you.
Wow, amazing, interesting. And I know there is no simple question. There's no answer to this as well, which I'm going to ask you next. What do you say? What do you think about women suffering from hormonal issues? Because considering the current scenario about the stress, the kind of stress that we're facing these days, the difficulties that we put into, of course, women are the first one who will take stress easily, right? So of course, and they're prone to getting in hormonal problems as well. So what do you recommend for them? I mean, what is it, one advice, one key advice that you would want to give them? I know there's not a simple answer. Yeah.
Again, really listen to your own body. I think if we tune in, which is really difficult to do in today's day and age, but if we really do tune in, our body will tell us what's going on. And the hormonal issues, it could be nutrition.
Yeah.
It could be our age and our tastes and our needs and our nutritional requirements change as we get older. It could be a lack of sleep, and at different stages of our life, we go through different periods, particularly as women, and we get hormonal problems as we go through. So we need to tailor what we're doing to suit that. And maybe the exercise plan that you had and was working brilliantly when you were 30 is no longer working when you're 40, because it's that much harder and you don't have the same amount of energy.
Absolutely. Wow.
Sorry.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm really enjoying this conversation. This is just something that I love learning about as well. And I have actually done a lot of research. But when it comes to yourself, you're like, no, I love brownies. I love sweet. And there's one thing that I really cannot get to or let go of is sweets. I love sweets and I just cannot let go of it at all. So yeah, I mean, as you said, there were multiple things that you said were like aha moments for me. Like you said about after the age of 35, you tend to lose your muscles. And I was like, wow, okay, this is something new. I've never heard about this as well. So really interesting facts that you've stated. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's definitely helped me a lot. And I'm definitely going to come back to you, as I said earlier. So, so if anyone...
One of the points, sorry, you just said there about, I really can't refuse sweets. I think one of the things I try to get a lot over to my clients is when we restrict something, it's the one thing we crave.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, when we put ourselves on diets and say, right, That's it. As of tomorrow morning, I'm not having any more sugar. I'm not having this. I'm not having that. Blah, blah, blah. It's the only thing you can think about. You wake up craving it.
Yeah.
And we talk
So
to
true.
ourselves. So I really work with women to help change that mindset. And actually, if you say to yourself, I can have cake and biscuits whenever I want, anytime I like, you will naturally, you maybe for a few days you'd eat loads of them, but then you'd start to feel sick and you wouldn't feel very well and it wouldn't be working for you. So you would naturally replace some of those foods with more fruits and vegetables. And if you still fancy a biscuit, have a biscuit. It's really not the end of the world, but I really try to work hard with people not to restrict foods, but to throw in more fruits and vegetables alongside that, and to add foods rather than take them away.
Okay, great. Okay, lovely. I am not going to ask you any more questions. I'll move to the audience because I have a lot of questions in my head. But however, let me unmute Dr. Smitha. Dr. Smitha is also into the fitness side of it, and she is very, when it comes to uh, she is a very good very good when it comes to meditation, when it comes to fitness, so breathing exercises. She also is part of Dr. Smith. I'm trying to unmute you. Are you
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Can you hear me? I'm not able to
Yes.
open my video at this point. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, no worries. Go ahead, please.
Great, Sarah. That was really interesting. And I just love the way you're doing the holistic approach towards the whole thing. It's just not just weight, the diet, and just not about the exercises. Beautiful way of putting it. And I'm really keen to know about what are the kind of protocols you normally use for the gut, because you're specialized in the gut. I think it's a second brain, and that can cause a lot of issues. So could you please give us some information on the gut, detoxing protocols? What do you do for that?
Yeah, I mean, for the gut in general, I very much focus on working with people to eat as many different plant foods as they can, and a real variety of them as well. So I think most people have heard of the phrase of eating the rainbow. So making sure that every day you're eating different coloured fruits and vegetables, because they all have different antioxidant properties, they all have different vitamins and minerals in them. So really important to eat a huge variety of those. And they are the fruits and the vegetables and the plant foods are actually what feed the bugs inside our gut. That's what makes them happy. So all the stress thrown into our body puts our gut out of balance and can make it not function properly. Put in sort of the fatty foods and the high sugar foods, they can throw our gut out of balance as well. Not sleeping properly can affect your gut as well. And that gut-brain axis, when your gut's not happy, your brain isn't happy, and it really, they both talk to each other and work in the same way as well. And I think an unhealthy gut can come out in different ways in different people. So I think a lot of people are quite surprised to learn that skin health is very much affected by our gut health. If we have a happy gut, then our skin will start to glow, it will be clear, and it can affect skin problems like psoriasis and acne and eczema, things like that. So yeah, for me, gut health is absolutely everything, but I really work on with my clients on adding foods to their diet to really feed the gut. And in lots of cases, taking probiotics as well. There are obviously some cases where people have particular gut issues which fall outside my realm as a health coach. And in those cases, I would refer them onto a functional health doctor who would be able to find the cause of things like SIBO and antibacterial growth, those kind of things that require testing, and maybe allergies as well and intolerances.
I'm sure that answered Dr. Smitha's question as well. And wow, it's such beautiful the words of putting it, rainbow food, and I'm going to keep that in my mind, and I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to tell my
it's all
mama as well that
all the time.
so yes, great. Girish has a query. Sorry, Giri has a question, and he just posted it up. I'll just try to unmute him if he can. If not, I'll ask you the question. Giri, are you there? I'm trying to unmute you. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask the question by the time he comes online. So he's asked that our sleeping pattern has has really got affected due to the technology, and it is a great challenge. So what do you recommend for that? And do you have any
Yeah.
suggestions?
I did actually write a blog on this a while ago. And technology really 100% agree. You know, it has huge benefits to our lives, but it has a huge detriment to our lives in a great many ways as well. And as I was saying earlier, you know, some of the really important things is to turn our phones off, turn our computers off at least an hour before we go to bed, because that blue light is keeping us awake and preventing the melatonin from being produced in our bodies, and that melatonin makes us feel sleepy and drowsy and will help us nod off. So really, really important. And managing stress is a really, really important one when it comes to sleep as well. I think a lot of people either struggle to sleep because they have problems with stress, or they wake up early in the middle of the night with things going around in their heads. And there's a few different tools that you can use to help you relax and get to sleep, and help to reduce the anxiety and the stress. There's one great one. My eldest son actually suffers with some anxiety and can get quite stressed and anxious sometimes. And we do a breathing exercise with him, a very, very simple breathing exercise where you use your hand and you breathe in as you go up and out as you go down. So just really slowly. And it's a really good way of focusing on your breathing, and it works for him brilliantly. If he's having problems sleeping at night, sometimes we'll sit and do it together and do that breathing exercise. So I definitely recommend mindfulness and meditation are fantastic for helping to manage stress. Yeah.
Oh,
And technology as well. One of the things that I've done, and I've recommended to a lot of my clients actually, is to turn off notifications on our phones.
yeah. So I've started. Yeah, so they keep beeping in and you really cannot control it. Like as I was talking to you earlier, ever since I got into empowerment talks, I've been doing a lot of multitasking, searching for a job, and also managing empowerment talks, other communities that I'm a part of. So it gets really challenging for me to put a stop there and say that, okay, now is the time to sleep. But
Yeah.
there is this feeling in my head that, no, what if someone needs my help, and I have to make sure that I have to help them. And then recently I discovered something called as do not disturb on my phone. So I switch that on every time, like it's set, the time is set. So at 12 o'clock, I know it's going to switch off. So I don't get any notifications, nothing at all. And I just keep it away. So that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I know some people actually physically put their phones in a drawer and shut it.
Yeah, much, much better, right? I mean, at least
Stop
so
that
that you can keep it
temptation of
away.
picking it up. You know, our phones are designed to be addictive at the end of the day. That's how that's why we all have these smartphones, and they were very cleverly designed to make them addictive. No problem. We all have phones, we all use the technology, but I think it's managing the technology instead of allowing it to control you is incredibly important. Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank
True.
you. Thank you, Tulika and Sarah. You have beautifully
Yeah.
explained it. Still, I am in anxiety to control how to control from social